Welcome to the With You Rugby podcast, designed to give you an in-depth look at the United States Rugby Foundation, including our grant programs and recipients, fundraisers, events, and much more. Now let's get started.
Hello, I'm Jon Hinkin with the U.S. Rugby Foundation, and welcome to another With You podcast. We're here today with Andrew McPherson from the University of Texas, and we're going to talk about his contribution to the rugby world via the University of Texas, Austin. Question for you would be, how did you find the U.S. Rugby Foundation, and what drew you to us?
Well, I first ran into the Rugby Foundation, of all strange things, through emails that you all had sent. And I would get those Rugby Saturday emails, and I would always read them, and link onto your site. And I saw scholarships on there from other universities. And I started kind of getting my mind going that the University of Texas in Austin needed one. So, and I saw the things you guys were doing with youth rugby. I saw the things you guys were doing with, charitable donations, helping universities. And I just thought, it was an organization I wanted to look into a little more closely.
Thanks, Andrew. How did your time at Texas want you to give back through a scholarship? Can you walk me through that?
Well, I got to University of Texas in 1983, and I had just come off of a reconstructive ankle surgery. And so my rugby playing, the University of Texas really didn't have a team together. They had a team that was kind of a hodgepodge of Austin Hun players, some people that had just graduated, and some students. And it just wasn't a real team. So I played for the Huns for a little while as I was kind of rehabbing my ankle, and that was a men's team. And at that time I was 17 or 18 years old, and I had come from Houston, where I had played for the Houston Rugby Club when I started at 16, and they were all in their 30s and 40s. So I met a few guys on the Huns when we were playing, and David Pelton and Nigel and Elston and some other guys. And we kind of decided that we really wanted to give the UT a chance to have an all-student team. And so we put together this hodgepodge of guys. We could barely field even a full, pitch. And that was in 84, 85. And we actually turned out to be pretty good. I believe we won the Texas Collegiate Championship that year. And it kind of gave us some juice to go to University of Texas to be able to found a real club. And that was really the first, that 84-85 season was really the first all University of Texas student team. And I had really wanted to play with people my own age, because I had always played with men in their 30s, 40s as a teenager. And there's great camaraderie, but it's different, right? They were grown-ups. I was a kid. And I wanted to play people my own age. And so we got together, and really it was more of I think David Pelton was a guy on our team, and he was one of those guys that you loved having around when you were young, right? Because he just got things done. He was very organized when we were all scattered. And we put together the first real official University of Texas team for the 85-86 season, and which is even their logo now, the 85. But in my mind, the 84-85 team was really the first. And it was just kind of loose, right? I mean, we had a coach, Alan Sharpley. He was a volunteer coach, and that was it. We just had the one, and it was great playing against people our own age. The camaraderie really built. We all got along great, but we had a shoestring budget. It was just, it was really just us kids that were college kids that loved the game that kept the team started, got it started and kept it going. And the fact that it's gone on at this point now for 40 years at University of Texas, and while I know Van's doing a stalwart job as the head coach of the team now, and they have other coaches, and I went out to a reunion a few years ago and I saw the difference. The athletes now have sweatpants with the names on them, and shirts and jackets, and you can buy koozies, and we didn't have any of that, right? And in fact, we had a guy, Greg Klausman, on our team that somehow got with Shiner Bock beer in Texas. And we had these T-shirts made, and we were all wearing these T-shirts proud because it was the only thing we had with University of Texas Rugby on it, And administration saw that, and they called us all into the office and said, "Hey, you get those shirts off. We can't have University of Texas and associated with an alcoholic beverage." So we had to turn all our T-shirts into administration. And so anyway, that was kind of the way it was back then. And when I went to the reunion a few years ago, and I saw how far it had progressed, but it still hadn't progressed as far as I thought it should have in 40 years. And they were putting out fielding good teams and everything. So I just kind of decided, I started thinking at the time, what can I do here? I've been lucky to be very successful in business, and I'm at the end of my business career now, and my kids are educated, and I thought, what can I do to kind of spur this along? And then, like I said, I started seeing you guys' emails all the time and reading them. And then when I saw Western Washington and some other universities, I thought, University of Texas needs that, right? Like, I mean, how is it that these schools have this and UT does not have this? So that's when I contacted you guys and started working with y'all and trying to put together something to help the program out.
You've given this great scholarship. What impact are you looking for your players and your alumni through the scholarship that you've given at the University of Texas?
Well, I funded the first scholarship probably late summer of 25. My goal is to have 5. I'm going to fund a second scholarship next week once the calendar rolls over, so that'll be 2. My goal is to have 5. If we do more, we'll do more. But I'd like to just, once I kind of get this jump started with the first 2, then we'll just do 1 a year to grow. I'm hoping to kind of spur on the Alumni Association. I mean, we've got 40 years of players back there, 40 years of alumni. If everybody just gave $50 or $100, or even a fraction of them gave that, the Alumni Association ought to be able to churn out a scholarship, or even maybe 2. I would love to be able to see to end up with 15 scholarships, right? And have a scholarship and really put out a world-class team. When I was playing, UC Berkeley was the pinnacle of the college rugby. And I don't know if they still are or not, but at that time, I mean, they just dominated. They had it down pat, and I think UT should be able to do the same thing. I would also, at some point, I think, and we've talked about it between you guys and Van and everybody, start getting some incoming freshman scholarships going. So that you can go out and actively recruit people. At this point, they didn't really want to do that because they wanted to get the scholarships going for some of the current players and see how it works and kind of work the bugs out a little bit. But that's definitely a goal that I think we'll be working on here in the next year or 2 to try to start getting some incoming freshmen and really start bringing them in instead of just kind of randomly recruiting. Well, let's get some kids from who've been playing in high school, and I know that's not an easy task because there's a lot of schools just don't have rugby in high school. So we're going to actively have to go out and find them. But I think once the scholarships get rolling, like I say, I'll fund the second one next week. I think it's going to give some incentive, and it's going to keep kids playing. It's going to give some incentive for kids to play hard. It's going to give some incentives for kids to play rugby because they're going to have be able to help themselves for their educational payments and things like that. So I'd like to spur it all on, right? I mean, I'm going to do as much as I can do. I'd like the Alumni Association to get involved. If there's, I'm sure there's other people out there that are rugby alumni that have done well in their business careers, and hopefully I can spur some of them on to start it as well. And again, I would love to see 15 scholarships out there for UT players.
Great, Andrew, love it. So where do you think then Texas rugby will be in 10 or 20 years? Where do you see it going?
Well, I think to start with, like I say, I think Van has done a stalwart job out there in kind of making it a more, I don't want to say professional, but more of a professional group. I mean, it's a more structured, let's put it that way, a more structured group. And I think that's important, right? I mean, while rugby has kind of an image of, we're just out there partying. But, that's part of it, right? Afterwards, but you got to take care of business first, partying second. And so I think, having multiple coaches out there really in a structured practice sessions and structured travel rules, and, it makes for a high quality, a high caliber team. So I think that if we could get the alumni association going, and we get some funds in there, and we get some scholarships going, I think that, paying, if you could, even if it's just a stipend, right, for the coaches, because it's their time, right? I mean, it's they're putting in their time. It's more time than people think. And at this point, they're just volunteering their time out of the goodness of their heart and the love of the sport. So I think if we could get enough funds in there to start paying the coaches a little bit, we could get the kids some travel funds. We could help them with their academic costs through scholarships. Then I think it's going to just continue to make it a more structured and professional type of organization, and that leads to winning.
Great. And Andrew, what would success look like for you?
Well, again, in my day, UC Berkeley was the one, right? I mean, they were, everybody in the country who played rugby knew UC Berkeley, and nobody wanted to play them, right? Because they were just going to blow you out of the face and embarrass you. And now I know Western has a good program, and there's some other schools that have really good programs. And I think that's where I would like to see Texas. I would like to see Texas being the pinnacle of collegiate rugby, where people are afraid to play them, or they want to play them to try to knock them off the top, and that when they show up to a game, that people are like, it's going to be a long day playing these guys. And I think with the alumni group that we have now, Tom Kenny is in there running it, and he's Nigel's in there, and these guys are, everything's kind of starting from scratch as far as the organization. It's been long enough that some of us now, again, we're kind of wrapping up our business careers, so we have some time to do it, but we're still young enough and energetic enough to get it rolling. And I think, unfortunately, it's taken longer than I'd hoped, but it's happening. And I think once we get it going, and once the wheels start spinning a little bit, then I think all this is going to come into place, because the resources are there, the knowledge is there, the love of the game is there, and it's really just a matter of time. And I would love to pick up, when I was playing, they had the old rugby. It was like a rugby magazine, but it was like kind of a mini paper and black and white, and they always had collegiate rankings and this and that. And I subscribed and read that thing front to back, when I would get them. And I would like to see Texas at the top of all of it. Just the program to emulate, the program to beat, and the program that everybody's scared to play. And I think now that the wheels are rolling, I think we'll be there, and I hope it doesn't take 10 years.
All right. Hey, thank you very much, Andrew. We look forward to much success with Texas Rugby.